What's happening, YouTube? Anthony on Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film with a brand new PRLostGalaxy 2014 review. And today we are beginning my review video series on the WWE Ultimate Editions, which are basically $10 extra versions of your usual WWE Elite collection. So to kick off my review on the WWE Ultimate Editions, I keep mixing up Elite Collection and Ultimate Edition. Damn. To kick off my review on the Ultimate Editions for WWE is my review on the Ultimate Warrior himself. And I thought, because, you know, Ultimate Edition, Ultimate Warrior, so that's a fitting name to kick things off. So I got this Ultimate Edition Ultimate Warrior, believe it or not, at a local Best Buy store in Rockville or Germantown, because again, there's no Best Buy store in Gaithersburg anymore, because the Best Buy store that used to be in Gaithersburg and Shady Grove shut down last year in 2024. One of the two locations of Best Buy I went to get this thing, because out of curiosity, because the Best Buy store, okay, it was the Best Buy in Rockville, because they was now switching out from selling toys and but they still sell Legos and stuff, but they had video games and everything else still, and other electronics like your TVs, your computers and everything at that store. Anyway, so I managed to get this Ultimate Warrior figure for about the price that it was, and because again, if you get an Ultimate Edition WWE figure, it is going to cost you way more than your usual Elite Collection figure, and depending on availability and if it's still in stock and available. But the Ultimate Editions are, yeah, $10 extra from your usual WWE Elite Collection, when your Elite Collection figures are like $24, but this is $10 extra, like $34. So what is so ultimate about these compared to your, you know, Elite Collection, WWE Elite figures? Well, I would say that the Ultimate Editions have way more stuff going for it, like way more detail, way more face sculpting, and other means, you know, way more other accessories like hands and I don't know what else. But yeah, but you know, and considering Ultimate Warrior has been gone since 2014, and you know, if I had released this video or made a video about this months earlier in 2025, I could have, but since at the time you're getting this video, it's in October, so yeah, I got a whole lot of ground to cover, because I got a whole bunch of reviews of other action figures, unboxing review as well, so I can get on to other things too for the channel to keep going. But I will still continue doing reviews and, you know, reviews of action figures and stuff if anyone's interested. So here's the front of the package of your usual Ultimate Edition WWE figure, and here's what Ultimate Warrior looks like in the front of that box. And then you got a vintage render of Ultimate Warrior, and then the WWE logo. Now, some WWE Ultimate Edition boxes will have the logo either red or white, depending on the coloring and depending on how they package the figure. And then here is the back of what the Ultimate Warrior is all about, and then there's the action figure render and real life render of the late Ultimate Warrior himself. All his stats, everything he did, championships he won, especially the Intercontinental Championship, and is technically part of the greatest hits line of Ultimate Editions. But again, since this is the first of my video series on these reviews for the Ultimate Edition, I am continuing the Elite Collection, because I have way more Elite figures of WWE than I do Ultimate figures. But for the Ultimate Warrior himself, let's unleash him. All right, now let's take a look at the Ultimate Warrior and what he had. So this Ultimate Edition Ultimate Warrior comes with your usual interchangeable hands, which they can also work for your usual Elite Collection figures, and depending on how the joints are, you know, sculpted and everything for the hands, and when you change out the hands, so you have those spare hands to go with it. Then you also have an alternate head for the Ultimate Warrior, where he looks like he's ready to, you know, mess anybody up in the ring, whether it be Hulk Hogan or Andre the Giant, or anybody that was, you know, wrestlers of his era, you know, back in the 80s and early 90s. But yeah, but this is basically very on point, because I think that when I look at these Ultimate Editions, they are somewhat way more better in sculpting and more authenticity and detail than your usual WWE Elite figure. But when I look at the Elite figures, they kind of do look like more grown-up versions, you know, more expensive grown-up version of your basic WWE action figure for the, you know, for the kids. But for whereas the Ultimate Editions are kind of like the step up versions of what we had from the Elite collection, because I'm like, man, it's just like looking at quality of the Ultimate Editions. I guess they are a step up over what we had from the Elite collection a little bit. But again, this is my very first review for this, so yeah, I mean, just look at how much detail they put on his hair and his face. You know, the facial makeup that he did when he was in the ring. Very close to home to the late Ultimate Warrior himself, the late Warrior. Yeah. Now let's take a look at his figure, and with his other head being on here, you can take this robe off, because I really like the way how they kept the robe intact, to like the outfit that he had. Here lies NWO. So okay, yeah, New World Order. And then this is how the Ultimate Warrior looks like, just in all of his glory. Yeah, there's some plastic on his face and around the neck. I'm trying to get that off. Ugh. And just like, oh my god, look at the amount of points of articulation they put on these figures, man. Like, oh my god, this is so much more like an improvement over the Elite collection figures. I kid you not. But again, these figures are like $10, again, expensive, $10 extra and expensive to the Elite figures, but they are a step up from what we had. And if only these were the kind of WWE figures I would have had as a kid, but well, specifically with like wrestlers that was during my era, mostly like Stone Cold, The Rock, Kurt Angle, Undertaker, Kane, and during the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression, even Ruthless Aggression, if I had collected wrestling figures then, with early John Cena and Randy Orton figures back then for them too. But man, this is so impressive that these Ultimate Edition WWE figures are like, man, they feel way more authentic in detail than the Elite figures. And I know I've been saying that enough times. I know I tend to repeat myself, but hey, it's just, I'm just gushing at the amount of detail they put on this. I mean, just like, it's incredible, man. Just really. Alright, so now let's take a look at his articulation points, and then we should be done with it. But just like, man, even the tassels around his arms is realistic. Arms and legs is realistic. This has more realistic detail. Just like, man, just about everything. Okay, so now about his articulation. His head can turn around despite the lower ends of the hair. You can turn his head in all directions. Okay, and up and down, tilt that head. Butterfly joints are really superb. Really damn superb. Okay, then elbow crunch. Well, due to the biceps and triceps being big, you're not going to be able to do much elbow crunching on this, because when you have a WWE wrestler for a figure like this or the Elite, the elbow crunches are what they are because due to the fact that you got so many wrestlers who got some big ass biceps in real life, so you had to like see how it looks even when you have them as an action figure. But what really gets me compared to the Elite figures is that you have way more abdomen crunch movement than you do your usual Elite figure, because, you know, Ultimate Edition, you got way more movement on the abdomen and that ball joint that keeps it together like glue. Then you can also move and turn of course, your usual turning the waist around and everything. So yeah, and then turn the legs around, and it looks like almost chip paint there. And then okay, and then your knee crunch. Your knee crunch, due to, well, unlike your usual Elite figures of WWE, Ultimate Editions, you got way more bending on the knee for knee crunches, even regardless of the material used to make the knee pads for the figures. So you got those knee pads open and freely. And then what about the legs compared to Ultimate Edition? I know for a fact that the toe movement, the flipping the toe, you got that on this and this. So no problems there with the toes. What about ankle pivots? Let's see, ankle pivots. Ankle pivots are kind of limited though. That's kind of, you know, going to weigh things down a little bit. But yeah, but this is a really awesome figure. I really enjoy it. Because again, I never had an action figure of the Ultimate Warrior before, or any wrestler that was like, you know, before my time. But it's a really darn impressive figure of that legendary wrestler from WWE that I do recall from when I was a little kid in the you know, mid 90s, before the Attitude Era, before Stone Cold and them took over and changed wrestling for my era forever going forward. But the Ultimate Warrior, definitely one of the best looking wrestling figures, one of the best WWE figures I've gotten in 2025, and definitely, if there's anything, 2 thumbs up for this figure. I highly recommend it for anybody who is a very vintage WWE fan, very vintage, you know, who is a huge fan of that pre-Attitude Era WWE from the 80s and early 90s. If you're looking forward to pick up this figure, I highly recommend it. Find it on Amazon, eBay, wherever, Walmart, if it's available, Best Buy, Target, any other store that may have that figure, you know, therefore need be. So that's it for my review on the Ultimate Edition Ultimate Warrior. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys next time with a brand new review.